Welcome back, everybody, to OCHO semifinals content commentary with your boy Sparky, my boy Victor. Say hi, Victor.
Hi, Victor.
Victor, for this one, we got Steve Anderson on Boros Energy and Dennis Long on Dimir Oculus. Which deck do you like?
Well, you know me, sick of energy. Let's go for the eye. Come on, Frog.
I mean, I gotta say, Psychic Frog has been one of my favorite cards to come out of MH3. I know a lot of people are sick of it in Legacy right now. We're not playing Legacy. Don't care. Um, but I do like seeing this like Murktide-esque deck doing well.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of value in these Dimir Oculus slash Murktide lists, especially with Unearth. It's so brutal playing against the deck from a power standpoint of like, oh, I finally dealt with your threat, and then they just unearth it, and you're like, well, that was a lot of work about nothing.
Oh, 100%. Dennis just got the Thoughtseize bug of putting Thought Scour on the bottom of his deck and drawing it for his turn. Um, I think in this matchup, having played a decent amount of being on the Boros side, I know after sideboard things get a little bit better, but once your opponent resolves an Oculus, things can be very tough for you. So as long as you can just avoid an Oculus start or like pray that they don't have it, you're kind of okay.
Yeah, I mean the eye it's such a value engine that it demands removal, but even then, it still leaves behind potentially another eye, which is just crazy to me. Um, so certainly strong.
That they can just flip up and it's just bonkers. Steve leading with a bombardment on 2.
Certainly a slower hand from an energy start.
I mean, I'm looking at his hand and I see Bolt and Guide of Souls, neither of which he played on turn 1 on the play. So I guess he's taking a different stance in this matchup of maybe he just wants to try and play slower.
Well, if you think about it, right, there's only so many bombardments in the deck, and I think in Steve's particular case, he's only running 2 bombardments. And it's an impactful card in these control slash mid range, slower, matches. So I don't mind the jam because you're putting your opponent on having force and then pitching blue card.
Well, it's Force or Spell Snare, which they do pack
Oh,
in some numbers.
that is true. Um, Good point. So, I mean, but you think about it, there's less cards available. There's also less Goblin bombardments, so it's a little bit more impactful. Your Guide of Souls gets countered. Not the best, but you have more Guide of Souls to go around. You only have so many Goblin bombardments, so I can understand it thinking about it.
That's true.
I don't know if I enjoy the counterspell there from Dennis.
I don't like trading down on mana. Yeah, because this can happen.
But not only that, but Dennis has plenty of ways in his deck to deal with the Guide of Souls, even if they were to use the energy. So
Sure.
I do think that it was a little hasty, but then here you go. Just like you said, the Ajani into the
Wombo combo. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know if Frog's gonna dig you out of this hole right now. It looks like he's got Fatal Push, Consider. I think he's finding basic Island here.
Yeah. I mean, a Frog will most likely require a Static Prison, but that can still be pretty brutal because then it doesn't matter how many cards you have in hand or what you want to do.
That's fair. I do think the 0 is gonna tempt Dennis to discard a card, and then I don't think we're Fatal Pushing a token here, are we, Dennis?
He thought about it for a second. There's no imperative. There is no prerogative to do it because there's already a Goblin Bombardment anyway. There's only so many.
Sure. We got a 0 for the Ajan.
Okay, so hopefully he's going to Fatal Push the token that can attack. Pretty brutal string of events here coming up for Dennis because now it would require.
I think we let it. Yeah, I don't
You
like
guys
that at all.
forgot to do the math.
Yeah, I don't like that
Yeah,
at all. I just trading all the cards when you could have let it die and unearth it.
yeah. I truly believe that Dennis just did not or forgot the math. Um,
That's fair. An Oculus here would be. Oh, oh, never didn't have it, baby. What are your
yeah.
thoughts here, Vic?
Um, I hope that Dennis, when he watches this, does understand confirmation bias is a bad thing. Um, you know,
Oh my gosh.
wow, that's a pretty good set of hits from that, as well. But I mean,
Oh,
still statistically speaking, that was the wrong play, for many reasons. And he has extra cards in the graveyard, so he could have kept the unearth, still had the unearth in hand, and now he's hell bent with a possibility to get, you know, slightly punished.
it looks like Steve only has 2 lands and then drawing for his turn.
Yeah, which we did not see
Yeah, he's slow
draw all
rolling
those.
everybody.
We need to get like the clear, like the poker players have, where the cards are clear on the bottom, so that we could just
Yeah,
see that.
we just pull
And
it up.
yeah, and then we can tell everyone their percentages if
A
they should
rabbit cam.
call.
I got bad news for Steve. He is under the gun here. Another poker term. Because what do? We make a token, we kill the face down thing. We're still taking 5. Our Johnny's dead.
Yeah, it's certainly not a great moment, when the misplay.
Hey Steve, if we can't see your cards, this doesn't help us out. Future Steve.
Well, bad news is it only mattered to present Steve to see his cards, so it's all
That's
right.
true. So we're in the dark, just like you folks at home. It could be a boat. It could be anything.
Ooh,
Oh baby.
that is that's a decent. Oh, and he gets to keep a blocker in as long as it's not a fraud or an eye that Dennis gets to flip, it's a blocker.
That was a good. I mean, I'm happy
Oh,
he took his time with that, but I would have liked to see it. So,
that's true.
I know. Oh.
Yep,
No, you
and
can respond to flipping it over.
no, I don't believe so. I think it's just like morph. I think it's a special
Oh, it
action.
is? Okay.
I believe so. Don't hold me to that, for the judges
That's
at
fine.
home. But yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, it just dies to the Ajani, right?
yeah, never mind.
Okay.
Didn't matter.
Didn't not matter. It's okay, because he's got an Oculus in his hand.
Does he really? Damn.
No, I just believe it. I'm just believing in the heart of the cards at this point.
He drew very quickly for his turn, so I couldn't see. It was a blue card. I'll definitely tell you that, because I know Dennis keeps those I don't know, you call them horror basic lands. I don't know what they're called, but
Oh, the all black ones, like
yeah,
those are the
they have
horror
a
feature
name.
ones.
Thank you. I couldn't think of the name. Well, Steve went from a very bleak situation to a much more favorable one.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Isn't there a Flage in his graveyard?
Yes, I believe there
We should
is.
be buying that back right now and putting it onto the battlefield. There we go. This game's all but over now.
Steve only had no. He has 2 elegant parlors. I'm surprised he didn't go. Oh no, they're both implied. Never mind. I
Yeah,
apologize.
he had them both
Dude,
play.
luckily to our new HD Skycam, I can in fact see that that's an elegant parlor at the top underneath that foundry. So
Yeah, thank you, Darian. Director of photography. See,
all right, Steven, making sure he remembers everything here. Definitely want to,
I think those are 2 considers. No, they're fatal pushes.
Never mind, they weren't blue. I lied to everyone at home. I'm sorry.
They were they were like the pale black cards. I think it's like the Assassin's Creed fatal pushes.
I demand standardized art. Bring it back, Wizards.
Ooh, and our our producer Darian comes in clutch with the sideboard guides up top. Let's go, baby.
So it definitely makes it a lot easier.
I'll
Um,
let you handle the Boros side. I think you got this one on lock.
the Boris side, actually, I don't know. I haven't played. I've believe it or not, I've played against both decks, just not exclusively in the pilot seat of any of them. Ghost
So,
Vacuum seems great here.
mhm.
Exercise doesn't seem bad. Disruptor Flute, I don't mind either. Um, so what is that? That's 4 cards there. I could be wrong. And a surgical and a soul guide lantern. Those are all cards that are in the maybe board. So everyone at home, please don't attack me. I'm just thinking of you start with six.
He's just an innocent dude.
I'm just a chill guy.
Something of note for you. He do has 2 Thraben Charm in his main deck. So that was like the tech that Steve brought to the tournament was 2 Thraben Charm
Oh, good call. I did
main.
not see that. So maybe he doesn't need to bring in as much graveyard stuff. I do still like Ghost Vacuum. Ghost Vacuuming it just seems like a really decent artifact to have, in play. Just getting rid of those creatures and just potentially using
Oh,
them
for sure.
against Dennis just seems, you
I
know.
definitely the 2 cards that I'm thinking about for sure are Soul Guide Lantern and Surgical. Ghost Vacuum has kind of like the Relic of Progenitus problem where you kind of have to like activate every turn to like get the big use out of it before you nuke everything. Whereas Soul Guide could nuke everything and like stop somebody from casting an Oculus or doing anything crazy. Um, I am pretty high on the exercise. And I think that's about like I think the cards that I would sideboard would be Soul Guide, Surgical, Exercise, and that's probably it. And then the cards I would cut, I would probably cut like a Flage, and then maybe the 2 Discharge, and then have the bolts just in case. No, actually, I would cut the 3 bolts. Sorry, I would bring in those 3 cards and cut 3 bolt. Because then I have an exercise, which is a removal spell. I have the Thraben Charms, which can be removal spell or graveyard hate, and then I have like an extra graveyard hate piece with the surgical and the
That makes
Soul Guide Lantern.
a decent amount of, yeah, and especially because your bolts are capped to 3 damage. The other
Yeah, that's
spells
it.
are either absolute removal or with Thraben Charm, more likely than not greater than 3.
Yeah, and then looking over Dennis's sideboard, I don't mind the Dreams of Steel and Oil, which is the Brothers War discard spell where they can discard a artifact or creature card. I think both of that's pretty good. So it exiles the cards, and then it also exiles a creature from their graveyard if you want to. So it works as like an answer for Flage. And then I also like the Graveyard Trespasser, the Toxic Deluge, and the Nile Spellbomb. And then I would cut down on some number of possible counterspell because I'm not a huge fan of counterspell in the matchup.
Yeah, it doesn't seem. I mean, great that it's 2 mana answer anything, but I think you're just trying to be as mana efficient as possible. But it looks like Dennis did keep in some number of them.
Yeah. Of note, Dennis did have a main deck Graveyard Trespasser along with one main deck Harbinger of the Seas. So I would be looking to cut the Harbinger and possibly the Thoughtseizes. I don't like Thoughtseizes against aggressive decks.
You don't like the Harbinger here, though?
The
Just to cut
Harbinger
them
might
off
be
red?
fine.
Let's cut them off red, which is pretty big.
Yeah, but I think white's good enough, and I don't think it like blocks well. But I could be wrong. It also cuts you off of black.
Yes, if you don't. Yeah, if
And
you,
I think double spelling with black against their deck is important, like 2 Orcish Bowmasters or Bowmaster Fatal Push, something along those lines.
what do you think of the Graveyard Trespasser? I know that's been starting to see more play in these lists.
I think the Day Night mechanic is abysmal, but I think that card's pretty broken in this deck, like against like Flages and like decks that are doing other graveyard stuff. Even in the mirror, I think the card's pretty dumb. Like dumb good.
Yeah, I will say Day Night is I can agree to that. Not a fun mechanic to have to keep track of when there's.
Like for the rest of the game, you have to keep track of this dumb thing that sometimes matters for stuff.
Yeah. And I think Magic, from when you and I started having the common shared time of 2012 and further, the game has certainly gotten more complicated.
Yeah, and then it just stinks for some of these formats like this that I love, where um you just kind of lose out on that. Like you lose out on like not having to like I'm happy it's not in standard anymore, so you don't have to keep track of it in standard, which is great. And I think Mark Rosewater did talk about in one of his like Las Vegas conversations about like day night being one of the worst mechanics he did because you have to keep track of it the whole time.
Yeah, which is slightly different from the Innistrad set because the cards themselves kept track, not the overall game,
Hmm.
which certainly made a difference. Made life a lot
It
easier.
definitely took away from some of the wordiness of the cards, which is nice. Don't flip a ring. Steve goes Amped Raptor into Static Prison, hopefully targeting the Bowman.
I think he should be a true warrior and target the Orc army and tell him he doesn't care about his Bowmaster. I'm just kidding for everyone at home. Please get rid of the Bowmaster.
I'll be honest, the Bowmaster doesn't attack well. Like, what's it gonna do?
No, but I certainly think it's still great in this matchup. It kills things as long as the um guy that souls isn't around to buff things up. And it does
Sure.
put pressure on the ring. A lot of times Boros Energy is usually the one putting the pressure and having the ring.
Hmm.
So it does kind of allow Dennis this whole idea of, hey, that's all well and good that you want to draw cards, but you gotta pay a true cost to it. So
110%. Your boy Steve over here found both of his basics ready for the Harbinger plays.
yep.
Love it.
Always gotta keep, and especially in a deck like Energy where it's such a free thing to do for them to go get these basics. I like it.
I wouldn't play anything this turn. Oh, he's buying Giganta.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it from Steve.
As a reminder for people at home, you cannot respond to buying a companion. I know a lot of times people pause, but it really isn't actually a pause.
No,
Just
it's a
you
special
know,
action, just like flipping over, which I forgot about.
love
Ooh.
special actions.
So we can play the One Ring, or we can play in it Janny. Our opponent left two blue mana up their entire turn, and then end step played the Bowman, so you gotta assume they got counterspell.
Yeah, this is going to be the moment where you decide whether what you want to jam. If Dennis's behavior game one has tipped Steve off to anything that Dennis tends to favor the first spell cast, he may try to get a bait spell in here.
I like this.
Or yeah, one that he just doesn't
I
care if it's
really
countered or
like
not.
this.
All right, so Dennis did not take the bait, or at least just thought about it and said this is silly to counter in the aggregate. Not a big
Dennis,
fan of
don't
putting
keep
yourself
putting
in the
that
way.
away.
Yeah, not a fan of that for everyone at home. You always want to make sure you do things that save yourself some time, and that can
Don't
certainly
spend
add
an
up.
extra 5 seconds. I mean, we're untimed here in the semifinal matchup, but there's no need to keep putting your stuff away. I
No,
especially like this from
it's not a
Steve.
secret
Oh,
anymore.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, just to say, it's not a secret anymore that you have a Bowmaster in the deck. You've already cast it too, so having the
That's
token
true.
out is not going to tip your opponent off to anything new.
And then you also have the discipline from Dennis of just like not countering the spell that's gonna get like recast the next turn. But I don't like recasting it right away. Like I kind of like using like the Ajani or the One Ring as the bait spell here. Who Ajani's?
Yeah. Well, now you've got a great bait spell in just not caring. Okay, I was gonna say that's not how that works. You don't have to pay and lose it. Dennis. Oh, he does have a spell snare. I don't like using the spell snare when you have the counter spell unless you have double. Oh, all right. Here's a fatal push. So that ended
Yeah,
up
I
working
think
out.
he should have a cat here. I will let everyone at home know this was Steve's like second time playing this deck. So there are a little few things that go missed.
I appreciate that you bought sympathy points for the viewers at home, but then when Dennis watches this, it feels great about having to play against a second time pilot of energy.
Yeah.
It's very kind of you. Or as the kids say, very mindful, very demure.
Yes. Love to see it. Oh no! Don't tunnel vision. Don't tunnel vision.
This might be a full. Yep. And he's exerting.
Oh, he tunnel visioned. Oh.
Interesting that Steve is not surprised by that, but then decided to exert.
Yeah, I think I mean, I've been known to make like plays like this where it's like obvious my opponent has counterspell and then I exert into it. But I think the proper way to do this if your opponent has 2 mana open is to not exert the mana and lose it. Because like the next turn you could just obviously just exert a Giganta and like jam in with the elk. Yeah. And now we're keeping track of this.
Yay!
So I think we have a One Ring and a Giganta.
Here's a question for you while Steven figures out what he wants to do with this trigger. Would you rather have to play a deck of day night cards, or would you rather go back to green white token standard, circa Rise of the Eldrazi, I believe? Not Rise, I'm sorry. Battle for Zendikar.
Are you talking about the deck with the Gideon and the Nissa in it?
Yeah, the 3 mana Nissa that made plant tokens.
Oh God, those are both terrible. But I'm gonna go with green white tokens standard.
Okay, all right.
So we had a One Ring from Steve. Steve could have played a Flage and then discarded like one of the cards, possibly the Elk, to kill the Graveyard Trespasser here. Oh, we're going back on our deck box to get the token out. Nice. I'm not sure. Yeah, so looking at Graveyard Trespasser, it says each opponent loses 1 life if you exile a creature, and you gain the life, but you don't take the damage. Um, this could be good if he draws a land here. If he draws a land, oh no, we don't have enough cards in our graveyard. Damn it.
I think with no, and also with no way to produce energy, it looks like from the hand, he is probably going to want to cash in on just drawing more cards. Though what he could do is he could play his second ring in hand, gain the protection, and then just draw more cards after the fact, keeping the old one.
Sure.
We'll see how he decides to handle this.
Why did he take? Oh, he took the damage because it's past the turn. So.
Yep,
Dummy.
still ETB. Oh, the Flage. All right. Rid of one of them. But you can play, I believe that's in a Ganjo, correct?
Yes, you can kill the other one with the Ganjo. And then
That
draw
or
the
you can
cards.
play it to cast the next ring, but I'll be interested to see how he decides to handle this. Okay, he says he doesn't care.
Ooh, baby.
lot going on here.
Yeah. Of note, Graveyard Trespasser does have Ward, discard a card, which isn't always, thought of most of the
And
time.
of note, it is definitely nightbound. Well, it's nighttime, at least not for the game state. I kind of forget it.
I don't think so because Dennis played some spells last turn, and then there were some spells played by Steve. Nightbound, it only switches over if no spells were played, right?
Oh, I apologize. I believe you're correct. See, this is why this is just a fun. If a
And then
player
you have
has
to play
no
in it.
spells,
Yeah,
becomes night, and then they have to cast 2 spells to flip.
two
Back.
spells to flip it back over. Yes.
All right. Well, what a terrible mechanic. So you
Yeah.
know what, Mark Rosewater, we will forgive you one day, but today's not.
That is so rough. We got 2 Flages gone. But yeah, you're right. Day night sucks.
So what's the move here? Because he's gonna certainly give his frog flying, which I guess you just have to go block. Have the cat warrior eventually kill the.
Three, 4, 5, 6. I like that play. So Steve only takes 1, which is nice, and then there's only 1 card drawn. So with the 1 ring and some cards, can we get out of this? Ooh, baby. I see Exercise, Amped Raptor, the 1 ring, Thraben Charm. If we get enough dudes in play, we can definitely start getting rid of some of these Graveyard Trespassers.
Yeah, it's a tough scenario though because you almost want to make a play and hope that you can still save 4 mana for the 1 ring.
That's fair. We need to flip into like another Ajani here.
You're really good at this. I'll tell you what. I need you to give me the lottery numbers next time.
Well, so the reason I say that is because if we do that, we can like 0 to kill one of the Graveyard Trespassers and then start pinging down the frog and then kill the other Graveyard Trespasser. If you get what I mean, right?
Yeah,
Because
okay,
we zero the current Ajani, we do 4 damage, we discard one of the lands in our hand, right? And then we can do it again. Like we're not going to cast that Giganta. We're probably not going to play that land. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. So I'm wondering though, does Steven just drop the 1 ring just to kind of know that he can't be alpha striked?
I think we just kind of. Oh yeah, okay. So we are at 6.
Yeah, and you're and if you leave the ring, you are at a theoretical 3, which at that point, between the 2 life loss triggers, if you don't, or at least one of the life loss triggers from a graveyard trespasser, because there isn't a Johnny in grave, and there would be
Well,
another one if you
we can
flipped
play
it.
the Exercise and we can play the Thraben Charm. So I think we can get rid of all of the dudes except for the Orc Army. And if we do that, I think we're in there like swimwear. So we 0, we pitch the Sacred Foundry, we kill one of the Graveyard Trespassers. That leaves us with 4 creatures in play. Ooh, okay. That's obvious. What's going to happen there? Ugh.
So he goes in this line that leaves him at 3. 2, it leaves him at. Oh well, it only leaves him at 2. Oh,
Never
never
mind.
mind. Draw right now. You don't need the life loss.
Yeah, you don't want to get hit by a bowman or something.
Dennis is tapped. Oh yeah, he has protection anyway. But yeah, you just you don't. You're not trying to go any lower. At the very least, you're going to 3.
Yeah, I also think you leave the Ajani in play in case he's got some kind of chicanery.
Actually, though, no, maybe Dennis will swing because now it's free. It's free blocking because you have the first striking Amp Raptor. So block plus cat token. Oh, but
Well,
he's
yeah, I mean he's
more.
going to lose
Yeah.
2 life at least. Like he's going to go to 2 if Dennis attacks with both of the dudes. And I think you can set up good enough blocks where that's okay.
Well, I think the life. Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't the life loss only if it's a creature?
Yes, but there's one Ajani in the graveyard at the moment, and if Dennis is able to, I don't like this at all. So we have an Unearth, a Force. I think that's a Fatal Push.
Does that change the math on anything? Just because. Well, I guess if you fatal push, it's kind of an interesting situation. Either way.
I think you just let Ajani die here. Ooh.
That's close. But no, to be fair, like a judge would probably have ruled that that was fine anyway. I mean, you got to be careful, because if Steve has to go to blocks, but as long as nothing happens and
Yeah, definitely
Dennis
close.
instead, you do want to certainly make sure try to
Oh, it
amass
looks like there's a
resources.
Bowman and there's a Fatal Push along with a Force and possibly a blue card.
I thought there was only 3 cards in hand. I thought the
No,
fourth.
he's got
I know.
4.
Oh, okay. The fourth is definitely the draw for turn, but
Yeah.
as I join everyone at home flipping the card myself so I can see.
I think you have to discard 2 cards. Oh
No,
no, it's
still
just discard
discard a
a card.
card. Yep, but it's a 4/4, and you exile 2 cards.
Yeah. Card's good. I think the problem with lining up blocks is you can just get blown out if he's got removal in his hand. And then like you don't have a way to get back in the game. Like I agree that Frog was one of the problems that you had, but I think the previous turn, instead of possibly playing the One Ring and being like almost dead.
Well, he must. Steve in the past definitely heard you.
Oh, it was Toxic Deluge.
Oh, full value.
Oh no. Oh no, you should be discarding your cards in your hand to kill his dudes.
Well, he gets to keep an Johnny around, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah, but he should be doing this so that like the graveyard trespassers go away. What were the cards in hand? Oh, they were
Exercise
so
and
bad, and you have a
yeah.
One Ring. You could have drawn a card. Ugh.
Oh, we'll see now.
Yeah, that was the ultimate punish right there. It was a Toxic Deluge, and it's Unearth and Bowman, or it's Unearth and Fatal Push maybe. I don't really think there's a card we can draw here. It's going to get us out of it unless it's Flage.
Sage will certainly be a nice one.
I do think we're going all out and turning One Ring sideways and drawing 2 more.
Oh yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
Of note, he can exercise his own ring. Well, that feels terrible.
Oh yeah, that's pretty bad. I see a static prison, the exercise, some lands, a Gigantha. I think you static prison the token here, and then just gain the energy.
Yeah. No way to gain life, which is super unfortunate. Okay.
Now we're paying war triggers. Look at that.
Interesting, interesting. Oh, you can. Oh no, but like if you have to exercise your own ring. Yeah, I don't know if there's a way. I don't know if there's any puzzle piece here that figures this out.
Like he needs 5 mana to play Gigantha to have another blocker. It looks like Surgical Extraction was one of the cards he drew.
Yeah, but the problem is, no matter what, he has to spend two to get rid of his own ring. There's no way to gain life.
Yeah, I think maybe playing the Ocelot Pride was bad because now he can't like exercise and play Gigantha because he could have played Gigantha and then zeroed a Johnny to have two blockers, and he didn't have to, like I think playing the Pride was the trap here for the turn.
Especially with no way to gain life. I
Yeah,
can understand if you had a Flage as a follow up, because then
sure.
you're getting one, two, three. You're actually, if you had the Flage, it would be crazy because you get the gain life, you pick off something, you get the Ajani blocker, and then you get City's Blessing because of the permanence, and then you actually have two cats
Yeah, the
plus two
unfortunate
cat
part is
warriors.
the unfortunate part is that's not what happened. I think we just have to go back and look at like him playing the Pride first. Like obviously, like just he realizes that like his man is bad and that he's just dead
Yeah.
because both of these cards can be fatal pushed if he zeros. And the sad part is like for 2 mana, if the Surgical Extraction was Soul Guide Lantern, you could at least cycle it.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah, and even if he pluses here, um, he's still kind of dead because it's 4 and 4. Yeah, this is the instance where you realize that like him not like taking care of Dennis's board when he had like the board advantage was not good. And I think with Bowmaster and a fatal push, this game is over. Yeah, I think if we go back and look at that a little more hard, we can find a way for Steve to win that game. But we're on to game 3.
In the wise words of one of the greatest football coaches of all time, we're on to Cincinnati.
Playoffs.
That's a good one as well. Right? A tale as old as time, Sacred Foundry into Ocelot Pride.
A tale as old as MH3. And he follows it up with an Ajani too. Ugh. Looking at there goes Johnny. Ooh, we kept 6 with only 2 dudes. We're gonna have to have a conversation with this Steve guy.
That is that's beautiful in poetic terms.
That's almost as bad as 5 lines Fatal Push Psychic Frog.
At least the frog will draw you a card.
That's true. We got the Bowman, a Sink in a Stupor. So I think something Something we're looking for here is my opponent doesn't have blue up, so I'm down to play almost any like 2-drop here. I think like Raptor's good. I think like a Johnny, obviously the other Johnny's good. Here comes a Bowman. If I was Dennis, I'm not sure how bad he needs it, but I would definitely go for 2 basics. Preserving his life total and just leaving a relative threat on the board. Ooh, baby. Gonna be honest, would not have played the Aether Hub. I
What's
think
the worry
bleeding.
there?
I
What
think
about
bleeding
the?
the
Oh,
information of your opponent knowing you have 2 lands in hand
yeah.
is huge.
No, you're certainly right there.
I don't see what the energy is good for. You didn't use it. Bring the boy in. It's bigger. Smart. Yeah, I would have attacked with it. Like he had mana open anyway.
Question is, do you shoot that early?
Um. Yeah. You have 2 counter spells to deal with the Gigant in your hand, so I think it's fine. And then I think he's banking on the Unearth if there's like a removal spell for the Orcish Bellman. You have to jam every turn from here on out. Why are you exerting? Why are we losing
Oh,
land
Steven.
draws?
Steven. That
Dude,
that
he's
one
got 7
that's a
cards in his
surprise.
hand.
That's a shocking one to me, but you know what? We'll see where it takes us.
Yeah, let's pick up our hand and show us 2 more lands and then a Flage.
Of note, there was a ring in that hand.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
All right, now this is
I
this
think
is
that
a
was fine from
situation.
Dennis because he gets to just unearth it back.
Yeah, if Dennis had counterspelled that, I would have been very upset. Wait, what?
He cycled the unearth.
Does he have another one?
I think he's got another one.
Oh, okay.
There's a black card all the way at the back. Although I don't think he's going to use it
Oh,
now.
okay, there is another unearth, but yeah, you have the frog.
Yeah, I think playing the frog is more important because you have frog with counterspell backup. Counterspell and force backup, I should say. Now let's see if he runs the unearth the Flage right into the counterspell too. Ooh, he's got a Thraben Charm. Tap the right way, dingus.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I mean, you put him
I
on
like
map.
this. I like this because it forces Dennis to make a decision on whether or not he wants to pitch the force, which I like, or keep the counterspell.
Yeah, but knowing that there's only 2 blue cards, you're going down. You'd lose the counterspell anyway.
Yeah, I
I
think
think you
I.
just can't.
Oh, he let it resolve. Oh, go! I don't know how he's going to get through this. I think
That's an
that was.
interesting
I think that
decision.
was. I think that was the crux of this match because I think that advantage. I mean, he can unearth the Bowman here. Oh no!
Interesting that
And he's not fighting over it.
you had the force. The force is already useless now. The best card in the best card in the
Yeah.
force is already there.
Well, I
You
think I
know,
think I think Dennis is tunnel visioned right now on the
protection of the frog.
well, the protection of the frog, but also the Flage in the graveyard that can come back with haste. So he just wants to counter that and get rid
Yeah,
of it. I think there's another shoot the sheriff. I think it's fatal push and then like shoot the sheriff in his hands with force and counterspell.
this is tough though because now Steven is in double spell territory though,
Yep.
and just like in
And
game
here it
one.
is.
Well, at least in this scenario, Dennis is learning from his game one where
Wrong cat.
you don't need to. They figure that out. You know, you
Yeah,
don't
well
need to counter everything. You have the
yeah,
removal to
100%.
rely on. There's also not a goblin bombardment, so I don't think the imperative to counter is as big.
Stop playing spells. Stop playing spells. Just pass the turn. You don't need his. It's so.
I think that Steve thinks that there is no and he's exerting.
There's no tomorrow.
Yeah. I think this is something that he'll certainly look back on and learn from is just that, when you're playing against Frogulus, you don't necessarily just because they're not countering the first or second spell doesn't mean that they don't have it, but interesting enough.
There's got to be a counter here, right?
No.
Dennis, this is the final game, Dennis.
Yeah, did anyone remind the poor guy that he doesn't have another game after this to go with?
This is it, and your opponent just went wide. Unless Toxic Deluge could be one of the cards in his hand. Sorry.
Oh, you're right.
I think that's the top card actually. So he's allowing his opponent to do this.
Yeah, but if you have Deluge, why let the Static Prison resolve? I guess you still have to worry. You still have to worry about you only have one other blue card. It's the counterspell that you need. But no, but if he did hit the third land though, or the fifth land, so that he can.
He got. Let's both be honest here. He got lucky hitting that land there, so he can cast. So he can use the counterspell. Like it's not like he sandbagged it.
Oh.
Ooh.
Boy.
He should be at 5 total energy.
Interesting.
Yeah. Our judge was there to remove the token from the graveyard because they don't go to the graveyard.
If they do, then they cease to exist once they hit the graveyard. Otherwise, you wouldn't get die triggers off of tokens.
True.
I know that was semantical, but I just had to throw that out there.
No, I like it. It was appreciated.
Oh, those are terrible draws in the grand scheme of it all.
Yeah.
I think that as this game went, I mean, it's incredible how much of the swing went from Dennis being ahead to Steve being ahead.
I know it doesn't look it right now if you're at home, but like Steve is very well in the driver's seat here. Even though he is once again exerting into counterspell mana.
Well, in fairness, you put your opponent on dead if they don't have it, so I understand it.
No, yeah, but I think that there's either a removal, there's at least a removal.
The other times didn't make sense because you weren't going to kill your opponent. This just says you either have it or die, so I understand that part.
And I mean, we're in a position. I think he should play the Marsh Flats because the Marsh Flats give him either one puts a card in the graveyard, but you have to bin this card here, or you have to crack the fetch the next turn.
What am I missing that you would want a plus with the Ajani here?
I have no idea. I would have put a dude into play. My opponent's at 8.
Because isn't his ultimate just Cataclysm, but the Cataclysm doesn't help if there's nothing.
It's Tragic Arrogance, but
Tragic.
It's because it's only your opponent. But like I don't see why you would want it to go to 5. I don't think there's a reason for it to be there.
Bowman only deals 1 to it anyway.
Yeah. So we got. I think there's some Marsh Flats in there that he can go a fetching with. And I mean, if you're super scared of what your opponent could have, you can like 100% surgical one of the cards that's in the graveyard.
Just to see.
Just to see what's going on.
I would certainly surgical the counterspell. There's
100%
at this point
because that's the card that stops your Flage.
I love it. You know what? I don't care
No,
what you
you know,
have.
yeah, your opponent does never had anything. Doesn't matter.
It's a beautiful soliloquy. My word of the day. Sorry that I just butchered it, but um, it's a beautiful thing to not
It's a
be
wonderful day
afraid.
in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Are we gonna make a token now? I would have done this before I did anything. Hey, look, a
Yeah.
flinch.
Piece of candy.
Yeah, because like all of this determines like what's gonna happen. You also could have floated the red.
Yeah, it's a must counter.
You could have floated the red and attacked with a raptor too. You got that cat. You got that cat. You got that cat. 2-turn lethal.
It's something else to be on Dennis's side and look at that board because to my knowledge they have not printed a blue or black spell that wipes all your opponent's non-land permanents.
No, he's looking for all his dust.
Well, a cyclonic rift would be kind of funny.
With his 6 lands.
Let me dream that the underdog could, maybe have a shot.
That's true. This is definitely interesting.
Well,
5.
Well, Steve is just figuring out how to end this game immediately here. Oh, all right. Didn't even
Just an exerted
oh,
amp raptor will do it.
It's gonna do it.
Nothing
So
in his
he's on.
hand.
Oh,
It was a tough
boy.
one for Dennis, not knowing when to hit the right counter spells and stuff like that. But sometimes that's just how it is. That was us for semifinal matchup. We'll see you in the finals. I've been Sparky. Say goodbye, Victor.
Goodbye, Victor.